Thanks, Cassie. So, Scott, you're here. So we'll go back to on the agenda. Scott's going to provide some update and discussion around the pending regulations on employer direct reporting.
So I think we're actually right on time for when I'm supposed to really be here at 1:25. So this works out perfectly. My name's Scott Eberspacher. I work with Member Account Services, and I am the lead for the direct reporting regulations going through. What I want to do is provide an update on how we're moving along with that process. The slides above, you can follow along with me. I believe they're in your packet. Also, there's a 2-page handout that goes with this. At the top of it, it'll say employer direct reporting, draft use for discussion only. So I'll be referring to that or referring your questions potentially back to that to assist if we have questions, okay? First of all, I wanted to provide a quick review or knowledge, so to speak, for those of you that don't understand about direct reporting. Currently, all counties report data to CalSTRS. They report that data for the districts. We have provided the opportunity for those districts to elect to report directly to us. That's the whole process, or the whole premise of this, is allowing the district to not go through the county and report to CalSTRS. Okay? Now, there are some criteria that the district will need to meet prior to becoming a direct report source. And you'll see that on the slide up here. They'll need to be fiscally independent or fiscally accountable. We would expect them to meet full compliance of submitting the files, just as the counties do. They historically and currently report correct data to you, to where you don't have a lot of work to correct it and submit it then to us. The districts must have an audit from CalSTRS within the last 3 years before becoming a direct report to us. Does that make sense? What I want to do is provide a little timetable of what we're looking at for getting this approved. In April, hopefully the proposed text will get to the Teachers Board. And in late April, we will then get it to the Office of Administrative Law. We'll have the 45-day comment period, which should end roughly in early June. And then in early September, we'll have the adoption of the regulations for an effective date of January 1, 2016. Do I have any questions? Wow, look at that. Okay. Hold on one second.
Francis from LA County. If a district wants to become direct reporting and the only criteria they don't have is the audit, can they request an audit in order to fulfill the criteria?
Yes, they can. However, keep in mind, they would have to have that audit completed with no findings from that audit to move forward. Good question. I think we had another one over here.
Hi, Teresa again with Stanislaus. If they become a direct reporter, are they still under our county contract, or would they have their own contract with STRS?
They would then have their own contract with us, and all of their reporting then comes through us, or comes to us. Any other questions?
I'd like to clarify that a little bit. We don't actually have contracts with you. So they would report independently, but we wouldn't I mean, I want to be careful about this use of the word contracts, because we have some members who don't understand it and ask us for copies of the contract that we have with the county or with their school district. And we tell them we don't have them. And so I want to make sure our language here is real precise, because we have an understanding. You're not volunteering to participate in CalSTRS there's a statutory schema that requires you to participate in CalSTRS, and we're extending that participation to directly interact to certain districts who meet the criteria.
Sorry about that. I'm used to using contract with PERS, so sorry for
You
that.
do have a contract with
Yeah.
CalPERS, but not with us.
So, sorry for the contract language.
That's okay.
Okay, so to clarify my question then, when they become a direct reporter, is the county office responsible for any reporting items from there forward?
From their effective date forward, no, they would not be. What would happen is, I'm District A, and I've asked to become a direct reporter. It's been granted. My effective date is the first of the fiscal year upcoming of me applying for this. I am responsible now for all data, historically and currently, being reported to CalSTRS. All data. So if you were doing a cleanup with them on something that happened 27 years ago, they are now solely responsible for it. And it is in the resolutions that we have both the district and the county sign prior to this effective date taking place. Does that help answer the question? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Francis from LA County, you kind of touched on it as a resolution, so it's not necessarily a contract. Right now, the county offices have resolutions with CalSTRS for reporting on behalf of school districts.
Right.
So if a district is going direct reporting, would they then have to have their own resolution with CalSTRS?
Yes, I'm nodding emphatically, yes. The county will sign a resolution recognizing they are now allowing the district to report directly. The district is also signing a resolution stating, we understand we are solely responsible for that reporting. Both of those come to us.
What do you mean by or accountable?
There's terminology for districts, depending on if it's the county superintendent or if it's the superintendent of public instruction, of whether or not that district is granted independence or accountability, fiscal independence or fiscal accountability. So depending on which one approves that determines what they've been granted.
So if a district is running all of their warrants, checks, deposits, and everything through the county office, they're not fiscally independent, but they can be accountable?
If the superintendent of, and I could be getting this wrong, the superintendent of public instruction either grants the accountability, fiscal accountability, or grants the fiscal independence. I have the two ed codes in here, in your handouts. I just don't have them memorized. The other one, fiscally independent or fiscally accountable, is then granted by the superintendent of the county, that county superintendent. They both equate to being able to draw your own warrants. Just that one is from the public instruction, the other one is from the county superintendent. So it's correct. Both of them draw their own warrants. Yes.
Hi, Scott. If we are already, we've already been granted direct report source status, once this goes through, will we be required to undergo an audit by STRS?
You would have undergone an audit prior to being accepted
Okay,
with findings being negative.
okay. We just didn't know it. We must
No,
have
no, no.
passed.
Again, this has been a ongoing process of how we are going to have the regulations read moving forward. The previous 3 years were a pilot period for us. So if you were already granted in as a direct report source, we used other criteria and found that an audit encompasses those elements that we've already used.
So we're good to go.
So you're good to go. Unless otherwise told, not
Right.
good to go, yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much. If you do have any questions, You can always refer your questions to regulations@calstrs.com, and we'll be glad to respond to those as quickly as possible. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Scott. So next on the agenda is Alicia to discuss employer-approved edits.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alicia Osborne, and I'm here to give you a brief update on the employer-approved edits process. And I'll be happy to take questions after. There are a couple things we're going to go through, and let's see here. Go on to it. Oh, sorry. We're going to go over new changes, benefits, and rollout. And before I get into that, I just want to give you a brief history of the edits that we reviewed prior to this fiscal year. In the 13-14 fiscal year, we had approximately over 60,000 approved edits. And prior to that, it was approximately 70,000. Out of this huge population, employer services was required to review a good percentage. As you can tell, this was, and I'm sure as you experienced, this definitely took, it exhausted some resources on your end, and us requesting the information from you. So what are the new changes? Now, we recategorized our edit review population, and this was based on high impact edits and overall edit volumes per report source. So doing this significantly decreased the total edits that we were to review for this coming fiscal year. Now, our reviews will follow a review cycle, which we pre-established with some internal guidelines. And our reviews will consider the edit type, the annotations, and we'll also perform an account review. Looking at the whole, if everything looks appropriate, we will consider it a verified edit and we'll move forward. If the information is not substantial enough, the annotations or the reporting or the edit type, we will request further verification. And we will do this by using the employer-approved edits review and verification form. This form is going to provide consistent communication, and it'll give everybody all the details of the actual edit and what we're looking for. We do request that the form and/or documentation is completed and returned within 60 days of the initial request. Now, due to the significant decrease in requests, we are hopeful that we will receive more timely responses. Now, what are the benefits? Due to the significant decrease in review populations, this allows us for a more in-depth analysis of the reporting. And this helps to ensure accurate reporting to the system. Additionally, and of course, very important to us, is it increases our customer service to you, the employers. We're able to, by changing the methodology of request, we're able to better serve you and create more efficiency. Now, what is the rollout? The effective date actually started December with the July report period. And some of your staff may have already received some requests from us. And thank you so much for being responsive and giving us the information that we need. The requests are being submitted through our single point of contact using the employer-approved edit review and verification form. And that is all I have on the updates. Are there any questions? Yes. Microphone's coming.
Francis from LA County. So with the form, in order to provide the documentation, sometimes we have to contact districts. And districts do not always respond timely. So you're saying that within a 60-day period, you're hoping that that information is provided in order for you to complete your review. In the meantime, our report is hanging out there in exception status because these edits are not cleared. And so there's a potential that we will miss a deadline and be subject to assessment. The only alternative is to strip these lines from the report and hold them for a subsequent report. The problem with that is it leaves the county office in a vulnerable situation where we lose track of those transactions, especially if there's a ton of them. And if we don't get those transactions reported on a subsequent report, we're affecting member accounts. And the single point of contact sometimes is not the best solution because that individual is handling a multitude of issues that that individual can't get back to us timely. So it appears that this process has basically alleviated the time frame for CalSTRS staff, but has imposed the time frame on the county office and has left us in a vulnerable situation as far as reporting.
I completely understand, but I do want to emphasize that this is speaking to the employer-approved edits. So basically, when you're submitting your file, you have your enforced edits. Those you are required to resolve and, correct before you're able to submit. But you have your list of edits that you are able to, after verification, approve, annotate, and move forward on your report. So there shouldn't be any delay as far as being able to get your reporting on time because you're still following the same steps as far as annotating and verifying. I'm not sure if you're also speaking to the other piece of the single point of contact, but this is strictly
employer-approved
okay.
edits because our files that we send to CalSTRS are so large.
Right.
We have a large number of employer edits that we need to go through. So staff has to go through those and get those approved, annotate them, and then come back and look at, do we need additional documentation because CalSTRS is requiring it from the district. That's the process that I'm talking about. And so if we have 100, 150 transactions out there that are in this process, that's going to delay our report being uploaded and accepted, or we're going to have to strip those lines off.
Okay. And again, our goal is not to obviously interrupt your reporting and your deadlines. We know that that's a priority. Keep in mind, though, that that's part of the reason the annotations and providing detailed annotations are very important so that we don't have to come back to you, the county, or to, in turn, you have to go back to the district to get that additional information. There are the two edits, the 036, which is the pay rate increase, and the 109, which is the excessive special compensation, that we will always require appropriate documentation. But again, keep in mind, if all other edits are appropriately annotated, your chances, those are definitely going to be more appropriately verified by us based on the account review, based on the edit type. So again, I understand, but we are not trying to, add any more, time or anything else on your plate as far as the reporting goes. This is past that. This is after the fact that once it has been submitted, this is where our focus is now.
So then, if we don't get the information to you timely, will the edits be approved so that our file will be accepted, but understanding that we still have that 60-day time frame to submit the documentation?
The 60 days actually begins when we take a look at the actual edits. So that's when we will begin, and when we actually send the request out, and the form actually has the date. So that will be, when the 60 days will start.
Okay, but will the approval from your end happen before that in order for our report to accept?
This is after your report is already uploaded. So the report has been already accepted.
Yep.
So this is after
This
that.
is after.
So it's post.
Hi. Oh.
Anna Lambert, Riverside County Office. So if we have an employee who has gone through this verification review and it has been verified, if the employee retires, and then this item that has already been verified in a past year, can it be challenged and can it be changed as far as it's saying, okay, when it was verified, it was treated as credible compensation, everything is okay. The employee reviews now, another unit is reviewing the account and can they come back and say, no, this is not a credible item, even though it has already gone through the verification process?
I can't really speak to the legalities of it, but I can tell you that I'm sure the member may have their rights to, to challenge that. That's the best answer I can give you. I don't know if Peter wants to chime in on that or.
We always have the right to review compensation. And so if one of these lines should happen to be reviewed and it's determined that it's not creditable, then yes, we would ask you to back it out and report it.
Hi, Veena from Orange County. I have a couple of questions from my unit. First one is there a way to clear edits like mass edits, let's say extra duty? Is there a way?
Yes, there is a way, and I believe, if I recall correctly, maybe Bill can help out with this. I believe you can filter it by report unit. I don't know if there's a way to filter it by edit type, but there should be a way to select them. Okay, here we go.
I will.
And you can then, it'll, I believe, still prompt you for the annotation, and then you can mass approve it.
And my next question is, if an employee has a monthly line and an extra duty line, why do we have to go back to the monthly line to clear?
And that's probably the edit 103 that comes up. I think that's the excess service credit.
Why do
Right
they have
now,
to always go back and clear the monthly line?
Right now, the way the business rule edit is set up, it will look at the whole service period. And from my understanding, it is being looked at. I can't give you any more updates than our systems analysts are aware, and they're trying to take a look at the edit and find out what can be modified, if anything, on that. So I'm sure this will be communicated out to the employers if something changes on that. But as of now, that's the way the actual specifications are.
Okay, and one last question is that in our system, when we pay employees, we do have a remark section which flows to our check stubs or in our system. And do you have a field where we can send those remarks so that they won't have to put these annotations?
You mean from the district level?
From
I'm sorry.
our county level to, is there a place?
Oh, we do see the annotations. So are you talking about the
okay,
annotation?
from our sister flow there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do receive those, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Yes.
Hold on just one second.
Oh, I'm sorry, what's that?
I just wanted to clarify, Veena, were you asking on your file for your system, does it automatically show the annotation or your notation into the annotation on our file?
When we originally sent the file, at that point.
You actually have to do the
When it's
annotation into our file, right?
Before it's transmitted, or?
Before, when we submit our file, that file has a column where we can.
After it's annotated, it will transmit to us. Sorry.
What I'm asking is, if your file format has a column where the reasoning, this annotation will be there already, because we have in our system, but it doesn't flow to your system.
So then you have to manually
Then we have
add
to
the annotation.
yeah.
That's something that we can raise to, again, our systems analyst. I don't know if that's an easy enhancement or
Because we have
not.
it, it's just we have to manually go one by one to your
Okay.
system.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anything else? Yes.
A question from Alma, Tulare County. Will the edit 067 be approvable again for retro pay, for example?
As of now, we haven't heard of anything being revisited on the 067. So I would say no as of now. That is the, you test, I'm just kidding. It's, I think the pay rate increase, it has to do with a retro adjustment. I honestly do not recall. I think it was over a year ago that it became enforced.
And maybe I'm jumping the gun, but we're anticipating now with the new reporting for outgrowth as part of regular service, what we used to report. We're a community college, so we had lots of special comp that's now going to be reported outgrowth as regular. So we're anticipating a lot higher service credit. So I'm wondering if those thresholds are going to be revisited and possibly looked at, or are we just going to be facing a lot more approvable, hopefully, and annotations?
That is part of what, again, our systems analysts are looking into, the thresholds, the proration, and the whole service period. So that is something that, again, I don't have any more than that, but I'm sure it will be communicated out to you as soon as we find out. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, cool.
Doris from Santa Clara County. My understanding is that the excess of the 1.0 of the service credit at the end of the fiscal year is going to move to the supplemental, right?
Right.
Currently,
Anything
the
over
rate
1.
is 8.15%, but the supplemental account is 8%. How will we be getting a refund? Or
Oh,
the
that's-
county, the employee, the district, how's that going to be handled?
That, I think, unfortunately, is a different topic of discussion that I can't address. This, I'm just speaking to the employer-approved edits piece of it. So, sorry about that. Maybe Peter could mention something to you. Yeah.
We are actually working on a system enhancement to be able to handle it at the end of the year. That happens after annual update, and so it's probably not going to occur until September, October of next year. But we are working on a system update for that.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Thanks.
Okay, that's the end of the presentations that we had for you today. Are there other issues that you would like to bring up or additional questions that you have? Carmen, any from the online reviewers? Do you have suggestions or comments for our next agenda? I think by the next agenda, we'll be able to give you more of an update on that last question relative to how we're going to be handling the excess contributions that are not going into the DBS account. I know that we're working on the communication strategies around that now, as well as making the system changes, because we want you to fully understand how we're going to be working with you to return those contributions and what your obligations are with the members and what we're going to tell members. Anything else? So let's go over here and then Francis.
Well, this is a little bit of a carryover, but at the morning session with CalPERS, it ended with a panel discussion and a request, a lively discussion and a request that possibly the flow chart and the tree for right of election be brought up again and discussed between STRS and PERS.
Yeah, we were told about that. We're going to work
You
with
got that?
CalPERS in terms of trying to schedule at the next meeting in terms of how to do that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so in the packet is the draft agenda. So what we have in there is some of the usual things in terms of the update on any legislation, giving an update on the pension solutions. There was a request the last time on an update about charter schools because there's some language, some guidance that the IRS is starting to reissue around charter schools and their eligibility being in CalSTRS and the government plan. So we want to give you an update on that. And then update on GASB. And so this would be on May 13th at 12:30. Is there any other items that you'd want to add to the agenda? And then we'll add the one about the working with CalPERS on the discussion around the right of election. Anything else?
I would like to ask who our point of contact is for any questions on creditable comp. So if I need to send scenarios via email or whatnot, would it be Cassie that I send them to?
Peter?
You should send them to your reporting analyst, so that whoever's reporting, and they will then filter it to the appropriate party for a response. Okay.
Anything else for the good of the cause? If not, have a good day. We will see you at the next meeting. Thank you.